Smith, right? Adam Smith?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. You're the president
The head of Sky Sports Boxing.
Sky Sports Boxing.
Yeah.
How are we with Anthony Johnson in terms of how does that work?
So we got a long-term deal with AJ.
Regardless if he signs with this.
Yeah, we've got a long-term deal to Anthony Joshua to fight on Sky in the UK. And we've been with AJ since he turned professional, and that's an ongoing deal which has got a long time on it, and we're very supportive of Anthony. He's an ambassador at Sky. He does a lot of other stuff for us as well as just fight. So we're very proud of him. But obviously we want to see him in the biggest and best fights. And we've got Andy Ruiz in a couple of weeks, which obviously a replacement for Jarrell Miller. But we're also here in Brooklyn to keep an eye on Deontay Wilder, because as everyone wants, Joshua Wilder in the ring to find out the undisputed king before too long. I think AJ was thinking about coming, but I would have loved to have had him as part of our commentary team here. But he's training in Miami at the moment. He's 2 and a bit weeks away from his own defense of all his belts. So it will be silly to get him up here for a night or two. He needs to stay at Miami.
Great PR though.
Yeah, of course he would, but I think that he's got to concentrate on his job. I'm sure he'll be watching. He believes it's going to be a great fight because obviously he's fought Dominic Brazil before, and he's very excited. But likewise, I'll be asking Deontay if he wants to come to the Garden on June the 1st.
What is your reaction to
Yeah, hugely disappointed. We've followed Jarrell for the last 2 or 3 years on Sky, and I've got to know him pretty well. He's come over to Britain. He's been great fun on some of our support shows, and he's a real character, and a lot of time, money and effort from my team was put into that promotion. So we were all bitterly disappointed when it happened, but Wilder's in place for a reason, and Jarrell Miller failed, and he's got to rebuild his career and his own business, and we got to move on. Anthony Joshua wanted to fight. He had 5 weeks to find an opponent. A lot of talk about who it would be, and I think Andy Ruiz fits the bill. He's got fast hands, he's got a very good record. He's much better than he looks, and I think that he'll give it everything. He's a warrior, and I think he'll put a real show on in the Garden. I'm sure Anthony Joshua will come through it, but I'm sure it will be a really gritty effort from Ruiz. He's a lovely guy, he's a family man. He's got the chance to change his life forever, and we wish him well in it.
It seems like, are you in charge? It seems like you're one of the key players in picking Anthony Johnson's opponents, location, salary. From America, it seems like that.
No,
you have a huge name in it.
we're the broadcasters, so we don't get involved, so to speak, in organising fights or paying purses or anything like that. Eddie Hearn is our partner. He runs Natural Boxing. He has the promotional deal with Anthony Joshua, so he comes to Sky, and we work together on it. But obviously, so Eddie will make AJ will make the final call, but Eddie will talk to Freddie Cunningham, his excellent business manager, and the 3 of them will talk, and Eddie will call me and he'll say, what do you think? And but ultimately it'll be their decision, and we go from there.
We
have to decide each and every Sky Box Office event, so it's got to be the right fight for us as well.
Available for some interviews now while we're waiting, so I would like the print media, maybe a couple more to come to the table in the back.
I think what he was meaning, Larry, was that in years gone by, the fighters didn't have the freedom, the individuality that maybe they do now. So Anthony Joshua owns his own shows in Britain. Carl Froch did, and Dillian White runs his own shows. So I think what Barry was saying, and maybe it didn't quite come out like that, what he was saying was that the fighters have got more control of the business than in the days where the promoters ran the show and had control. So I think that's what it was, and I don't think anything else was meant by that.
How close are we to Anthony Joshua? How close or how far? I was going to say how far are we away?
Well, I don't know. Look, every fight fan out there wants to see it happen, me and you included. I think it's a shame that obviously the 3 of them, Wilder, Fury and Joshua, seem to be going in different directions with different broadcasters and different promotional outfits, and that's frustrating for the fans. we got Mayweather Pacquiao. I just saw Leonard Ellerby there, and we worked together on Mayweather Pacquiao and Mayweather McGregor and other fights. But Mayweather Pacquiao was way too late. We could have had 3 of them by the time it happened. And I think that the worry with this is that one of them will come unstuck, Wilder or Joshua, before they actually fight. Takes a bit of a shine off. Most of us thought Fury beat Wilder, but that was a super fight. And I think they've got to all fight each other. I think it's a bit of rock, paper, scissors. There's a lot of people who believe that any one of them could beat any one of them on any given night. We're behind Anthony Joshua, but Deontay Wilder's got the power and the awkward style. Tyson Fury is unquestionably the most natural boxer. So the 3 of them have all got extraordinary abilities, and they're all very different characters. We want to see them fight each other, and we've had one of them, Wilder Fury. But I think Anthony, I was speaking to him last week just off camera, and he really wants this fight with Deontay, and I think he wants it sooner rather than later. So I'm hoping that that the politics can be put aside, that we can get these fights on. I actually genuinely feel that if you've got Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder in a room to discuss it, they come out of that room having made some sort of a deal. The problem is that there's a lot of people involved, a lot of promoters, managers, TV networks, etc. And that's the complicated side. But I think the 2 fighters do want this to happen, and I fundamentally believe that when it does happen, and it will, and I think it will happen within the next 12 months, I think you can have 3 of them. We saw Bo Holyfield, you saw Lewis Holyfield a couple of times, Tyson Holyfield. You certainly can have 1, 2, 3 fights, and we want to do that before we miss the boat with it, because that's what heavyweight boxing is all about. And obviously an AJ Fury fight is huge in Britain as well. So those are the fights we're after. But look, we're here for Wilder against Brazil. Brazil's got a chance now. Andy Ruiz has got a chance, and then Schwartz has got a chance against Fury. Listen, we all believe that the 3 of them will come through unscathed pretty much by June the 15th, and then hopefully we can get some of these mega fights together. But until then, they've got world titles to defend. The WBC champion Joshua's got all the belts to put on the line at the Garden. It's his debut in America. It's all about how he goes down. We've got a phenomenal bill at the Garden that night with Katie Taylor going for an undisputed title as well. We're looking to Joshua Buatsi, who's one of our massive hopes, is on the bill. Josh Kelly, Tommy Coyle. We think Buatsi will be announced soon. I think all of these guys, and there's rumours that Callum Smith might be on, so there's a lot. It's a big night, June the 1st. It's a terrific night back home for us on Sky Sports box office. It's actually the same night that Liverpool, my team, are playing in the Champions League final, so it's all going to happen at home and in New York. But we're here for this one, and this is about Deontay Wilder and Dominic Brazil.
You're an easy guy to interview because you're feeling questions rather easy. One of my last 2 questions. How is DAZN going to convince Americans to stop streaming you for free and pay for DAZN, right? Because people stream Sky Sports in America.
Listen, the streaming is that's how people pick up their content is how they pick up their content. Look, ultimately, DAZN have got a project. They've gone into a lot of different territories, and they haven't come into the UK yet. I think they will.
They're based out of the UK.
They're based out of the UK, but they're entering other markets. At the moment they're trying to conquer the American market. They're in Germany and Japan and Italy and others. So I think they're looking at obviously coming to the UK at some point. So at that point, yes, they will be a market rival. At the moment, we have a friendly relationship with them. We've got a good relationship with them and their working team. We're bringing a lot of fights over from here to Sky via our colleagues at DAZN, and vice versa. We're providing good action from Britain to them. So let's see how it works. They were very pleased with their Canelo figures the other night. I think it'll be very interesting to see what they get with Joshua, and then obviously they've got Golovkin on June the 8th. So it's a busy period for DAZN and a key one. But obviously they are a big player now because of the money behind them. They've got huge ambitions, and let's see where we go. But obviously if you've got ESPN, you've got
Sky TV. He's the king of Sky TV. The king of Sky TV. That's my man.
So we got a lot of competition. We've got a lot of competition here with, unfortunately, HBO going, but you've got Showtime, you've got Fox, you've got ESPN, you've got DAZN. Back home we've got BT, ITV, we've got, I think Channel 5, I think it's really good that boxing has finally come to a point where people are fighting over it again, and people want to see the great fights. Heavyweight divisions flying. good prospects coming through, and the women's game as well has changed forever. Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor, in my opinion, is one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport, period. Never mind the fact she's a female. She is one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in this sport, period. And I believe if and when she unifies the lightweight division on June the 1st, you've got to put her right up there. I think she is a sensation. I think she's the best women's fighter we have produced. Ireland have produced. Ireland and the UK. We like to hold her. She's Irish. She's Irish, and she's an absolute heroine in Ireland. She was the best amateur of all time. She could become the best professional of all time. I'm sure Clarissa Shields has other ideas. Cecilia Brackhurst, there's Amanda Serrano, and there's our own Nicola Adams, Savannah Marshall. There's so many coming through. Young Terry Harper, Shannon Courtney. The women's game is flying. I think it's massive. I think we shouldn't underestimate that, as well as a lot of good prospects coming out of the sport, both in America and in Britain. We need that, and I like a lot of the grassroots. People want to go to gyms again. The kids are going again. They've got a buzz, and they're looking up to these role models. They're looking up to the likes of AJ, and I think I want to be like him, and I think that's great.
If you were Deontay Wilder, two-part question, would you have signed a $40 million contract? And part two, how much?
Wasn't it 100 million? Wasn't it 20, 40, and whatever? It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. I wasn't in that meeting. I don't work for DAZN. I wasn't in that meeting. However, I was surprised. I was surprised that. Yeah, look, Canelo's gone, Golovkin gone. The money they're throwing around is incredible, and fighters are really benefiting from this. I'm my own Matthew Macklin and Carl Froch and the guys I work with now are thinking, my word, if we've been around 4 or 5 years, maybe we're 4 or 5 years too early. Look, this is the way it goes. Carl was even talking about a comeback in Vegas the other day. He's 40 something, and he's had his nose ring.
Nose job, so he ain't fighting again.
he's getting married next week. It won't happen. But you know what? It's huge money that's being thrown around. So obviously, Al and Shelley and Deontay's team and Showtime and Steven, and the fact that Deontay's kept loyal to them, I think is a really impressive move, and the fact that they must be providing him with a huge amount of money, and they're confident that they can get the Joshua and the Fury fights. And my guess is that Deontay might have 1 or 2, have this one and maybe another one. AJ will have one, maybe one back in Britain, and let's hope maybe first half of 2020 we really do get this fight, because as I said, I believe you can get 2 or 3 out of AJ Wilder, and it's for all the belts. And okay, I believe Fury beat Wilder. I think that was a great fight, and Fury has of course a way he can call himself the man, because he beat Klitschko and he's come back, he's beaten Fury, and he's been unbelievable. But he hasn't beaten Joshua. He hasn't fought Joshua. That's a massive fight. Certainly the biggest fight back in Britain.
How much is 2 of those fights worth? How much? Gross.
I don't know what it would do, but if DAZN had been offering them the 40 million range, you got to think 40-50 million have got to be revenue for those sort of fights with Wilder.
What about gross total for 2 fights?
I mean, we're talking mega, aren't we? And and with Fury as well. I mean, Fury at Wembley, with 90,000. It will
because of the pay-per-view. You gotta have American pay-per-view. Do you have the money in your?
I think
your rainbow. You got it.
I think there'll be. Those fights, the AJ Fury and the AJ Wilder fights, will generate enormous money. And I don't know. I can't put a figure on it. As I said, I'm not a promoter, but it will generate huge money, and it's life-changing money for all of them. They've just got to fight. But I do deep down believe that Deontay wants to prove himself against Anthony Joshua. I think that he was probably, whatever he says, probably slightly disheartened with his performance against Tyson Fury. A lot of people felt he lost that, most did. And he nearly knocked him out, and should have in normal situations, that should have been a knockout. What Fury did to get up was beyond incredible. But he in my opinion, he won that fight. I just think that if they all fight each other 2 or 3 times, it's history, it's legacy, and we're going to talk about that like we did Lewis, Bo Holyfield, and Lewis and Bo never fought. That was one of my, did it an amateur, that was one of the ones that, I mean, just devastating. Devastating not to see that fight.
No matter where Riddick Bowe does, he's always going to be remembered for putting that green belt in his
Listen,
past.
there's a lot more important people than me that are going to make these fights happen, but I will do everything in my little amount of power to tell Deontay and Anthony and Tyson when I see him that this is what they're going to be remembered for. But, you know, it is a business, it is about making money, and they are all making money. So we've got to hope that they want to give what the fans really want to see, which is the super fights. But, you know, first things first, WBC title Saturday night, Dominic Breazeale, tough guy, 3 wins, 3 knockout wins since the AJ fight, and actually didn't do badly against AJ for a number of rounds, stuck in with him. So do I expect it to win? No, but I expect him to give it a real go, and I expect Andy Ruiz to give it a real go on June the 1st. So let's see what happens, but I think by the mid to end June we should be starting to talk about the mega fights rather than just defences.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
No problem at all. Cheers.
It's a pleasure talking to you, brother.
No problem.